Right. Are we live?
Yeah.
I don't know. It ain't come up yet.
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. All right. Welcome, Dan, to the Dan from the Gooner channel to Football Dad's Army. We've found a little space this afternoon to do a show nice and early, 1 o'clock. So hopefully we get a bit more interest in the show today. The topics for today there's a lot of talk about David Raya coming to Arsenal, Dan. I mean, I'm very intrigued by this. I did do a little short video on it the other day, but I thought Ramsdale was solid last. I know he dropped it. It sort of dropped off a little bit towards the end of last season, and there was a few little mistakes he's kicking. I know he passed out and he made a few passes out from the back, but they was quite limited. I thought he had a quite solid season. I'm not quite sure what's happened in pre-season for Arteta to want to sign David Raya. What do you reckon on it?
I reckon it's a good idea, but only you're looking at. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah, I can't hear you though.
Well, I'll crack on. But I was going to say, like, if you look at it as a replacement for Ramsdale.
What's happened?
Let me know when you can hear me.
Yeah, I could. I was hearing you then. Yeah, you said about replacement for Ramsdale.
All right, okay. So yeah, I don't think he's a replacement for Ramsdale. But one of the things that I can't remember who it was talking about was, like when Ramsdale just seems a bit casual. If he's up for a big game, he's up for it. If he's not up for it, then he makes silly mistakes, and he seems to want to make life harder for himself almost. So I think it'd be good to have a player behind him just to keep him on his toes. And apart from anything, Ramsdale, when he came in, Burton Leno was our number one. He came in with that attitude as I'm going to do the best job I can. I think Matt Turner's got that attitude as well. But Matt Turner's going to need minutes before the World Cup. And I think he might be looking to leave. So I think we need a second keeper anyway. Okonkwo looks like we're selling. If we haven't already. And therefore, I think you need 3 keepers in the squad, right? It's definitely not, although, it's definitely not Rinnerson. Hayne is in there now. So if it is an upgrade, it's a lot to spend. I think if we get it down to 30 million, maybe he could start as well. I mean, his stats last season were really good. So I think when you look at it, I've been looking at our 22-man squad, or so 25-man squad. So the first 2, Team 1, Team 2. I think we're in really good cover. But do I think David Raya would be an upgrade? Yeah. Should you take an upgrade when it comes along? I think you should. Although I am quite tempted to leave Turner just on the bench for a whole season, in the off chance we get penalties for something and bring him on instead of Ramsdale. But I think Ramsdale knows Turner's not. Look, the simplest way to look at it, I think, is imagine something horrible happens and Ramsdale misses 5 or 6 games next season, and they're important games at the run-in, right? They're really pivotal games. Do you feel good about Matt Turner coming in for those key games? I would definitely feel better about Raya coming in, and that's, let's do it.
I agree. I agree to a certain extent that he does need to be pushed and challenged to be replaced, because that's what he did to Leno. He came in to replace Martinez, and I thought Martinez was a bad move selling him, to be fair, because I thought he was a better keeper than Leno in the end. Because when he came on, when Leno was out, he done very, very well, and I was surprised that we sold him. But Ramsdale coming to replace him, and he did wind up usurping Leno. But he hasn't got that. He hasn't got anyone to challenge him. He's got a bit complacent. Could say that. David Raya could push him. But you don't see, as I've been listening to other people talking about, you don't really see teams with 2 number 1 keepers in the same
team. Ortega and Edison, it has been tried. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, Chelsea tried it with Mendy and what was the other guy? I can't think of his name. It's gone right in my head. Mendy and the other keeper. Blimey, what was his name? What's his name? Chelsea keeper. It's gone right at me.
Kepa Balaga.
Kepa Balaga and Mendy.
Well, look,
I think that affected their form, though. They dropped off, both of them.
Forget Chelsea for a minute. Yeah, right. But I think just as an Arsenal fan, you look at when have we ever had 2 number 1 keepers?
No, we haven't.
So it's not our style. And
John Lukic and David Seaman, maybe.
Nah, not at all, because Lukic went. Went. That was the mad thing. Is like if you think about goalkeeper signings, the one that came out of left field was George Graham taking a look at. This is John Lukic, who's just won the league after 18 years as goalkeeper. He did a really good job, was loved by the fans. And we went and splashed out a huge amount of money. I mean, £1 million, I think it was, for David Seaman from QPR. Yeah. And I was one of those fans. I was like, what's he doing? We don't need a new keeper. But then 91, we go the whole league. I mean, people talk about the Invincibles. 91, we conceded 17 or 18 goals. I never get this right. It's either 17, 18 or 19 goals. But that was an enormous start to David Seaman's career, and it didn't really ever look back. He was amazing. He had the mistake against Neymar in the Cup Winners' Cup final, and he had the mistake against Ronaldinho, which Ronaldinho has now gone on to say he never meant anyway. But
not Neymar, Naeem.
Oh, so he got beaten by Ronaldinho and Naeem from the halfway line.
Naeem, yeah. I've done a video on that. I've done a video about my favourite.
But but it was in the final of the Cup Winners' Cup that happened. That was in the final of extra time.
Yeah, I knew. Like, I was trying to most of it from memory, and I was looking at some of
us ahead. He put us 1-0 up, and
I know we beat Parma in the final the year before.
That was a great game. That was a great game. Yeah. That was a great game.
Go on, sorry.
No, and I've put on the channel. I've put the Cup Winners' Cup semi-final from that season as well, so people can watch both legs of the final. Because that's a classic game where it looks like we're out of it, and then we come back. But yeah, so I guess I don't think anyone would be opposed to seeing David Raya come into Arsenal. No one's going to.
Well, apparently his stats are stacking up, but he's a better keeper than Ramsdale. And
stats, damn lies, and statistics in it. I mean, I don't know.
Your stats, or do you use your peepers? You use your peepers.
Got to go with both. It's a silly thing to say you go with one or the other, isn't it? Because when you're doing data analysis, there's a certain bias towards things that you think you're going to see, and you have to be more objective than that. So I tend to look at statistics a lot. But then accept where they don't really show you anything. Like if a really good case in point, which is kind of topical, is the simple question: is Rasmus Højlund worth more money than Folarin Balogun? Will Rasmus Højlund make it in the Premier League? And so you're looking at the Italian league. I can't compare his statistics in Italy with his statistics in the UK. I can't do that. So at that point, you're looking at a player and saying, well, what do I think of him? And it's always a bit of a punt. Any transfer is a 50-50, however likely you think it is. Based on, it's like if your mates get married, and they go, oh, this is the one, I love her. And you think, statistically, 50% of you are getting divorced, whatever happens. Do you know what I mean? But everyone signs the player thinking they're going to be the one and then works out they're not. But if you looked at...
Sorry, go on, carry on.
So on the paper, I've looked at it and gone, I think Folarin Balogun is worth more money than Rasmus Højlund. If you try and compare the stats with 21 goals in Ligue 1 versus 9 goals in Serie A.
I get that. And the thing is as well, Højlund's apparently going to be 70 million or 75 million or something. And Inter Milan are refusing to pay more than 30 million for Folarin Balogun, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't think we should sell Folarin Balogun anyway.
Yeah, they're not going to.
And do you know anything about this Højlund?
Yeah, no, a little. Well, I do know a little bit about him. Yeah,
have you seen him play?
Yeah, I've watched him.
I've never seen him play.
Okay. Well, he plays in Serie A, so I mean, I don't watch a lot of Italian football. Yeah. But I like him because he's no nonsense. He's like an old-fashioned sort of striker. Well, he's not really an old-fashioned striker, but he only wants to score goals. He's got a little bit of what you really want from a striker. And he's mobile across the front three. He's quick. He's young. I don't think he needs to be that special, was the whole point I was making with the video for Man United. I don't think Rasmus Højlund needs to be Erling Haaland. They're replacing Weghorst, right?
Comparing him.
So, well, I mean, you can't compare Weghorst with Højlund. Højlund is going to score goals. He may not score 20, but I worked out, I reckon you could expect 5 or 6 from him, and then 2 or 3 assists as well. So 8 goal contribution, I'm guessing, from Højlund. And Weghorst is a 0, or is a 1 goal contribution from an assist.
Yeah,
so
he did score, didn't he?
They need a good season from Sancho or Anthony, and this is all based on statistics. But you do get, I will be honest. When I watched Højlund, it was a few months ago because we were linked with him, and no, it didn't rock my world at all. But do players rock your world every day, every match? I don't know.
Well, when we're in Bergkamp,
I tell you, it definitely didn't rock my world. Kai Havertz wasn't at all interested. Just on the eye test.
No. And even though he's got 2 goals in pre-season, I mean, I watched the games over. I watched them back, and I'm still not impressed. I'm still a little bit worried about it. I really, do you know what point I was trying to make? I really love Smith Rowe. I don't know. I want him to have a chance this season. I want him to play because he was unlucky last year with his injuries. The season before, he was brilliant off the bench, impact player. I think he deserves a chance, in my opinion. He's staying. Why not give him a chance? Why not? We're going with the narrative of a young team.
I think he'll get minutes. He'll get minutes. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He will get minutes. I think Emil Smith Rowe and Vieira have a lot to prove for different reasons, and I think both of them will get an opportunity. The big news for Emil Smith Rowe was that Arteta came out and said he's staying, and he is. And he's done all the right things pre-season. He looked sharp as well coming on. I totally agree with you as well. Impact player off the bench, because if there's one thing we know about Eddie, if he's going to be the backup to Jesus, he's not that.
He's not.
No. You're better off starting Eddie and then bringing Jesus on than you are the other way around, I would argue. Because if Jesus... But then that's egos. Does Jesus... No, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, no, I think he'd have a cry about it. If I'm honest.
Definitely, 100%. Because that's what he was at. That's what he was at City. He was a bench player at City, wasn't he? And even when they didn't have a number 9, he wasn't. He was still on the bench. They played with whoever De Bruyne, say for example, was a false 9, didn't they? They didn't really have. They didn't play with a forward, and he was on the bench. So
he didn't come to Arsenal from. It depends. You look at all of this on paper and you think a season. I think it's more intelligent to look at. We've got a 25-man squad going into the Premier League, just the Premier League now, and it's pretty much picked itself. So we have players and we're really well covered on the fullbacks, centre backs. We could be better covered on goalkeepers, but that could happen. We're if we're short anywhere, it's in the midfield and not necessarily the defensive midfield. And the place we're short on the right wing. But I've got a really interesting theory about that. So I don't think we're going, because if you look at it drives me a little bit mad that Moussa Diaby went to Aston Villa. Straight up.
For me, who they've bought for me is just as good as who we've done, because they've bought Paul Tires, centre back, and they've bought on a free Yuri Tielemans, and they've got Moussa Diaby. I think that's them 3 players are as good as the 3 players we've bought in, for what they needed. If you understand what I mean.
I do. If I wanted to disagree with you,
don't forget they've got Ollie Watkins up front as well.
Yeah, no, I think if I wanted to disagree with you, though, the place I would do it is if you gave me the choice between Yuri Tielemans or Declan Rice. Yeah, I would definitely choose Declan Rice.
I'll get. All right.
Would they have rather?
But what they needed, I think Tielemans is more.
Not disagreeing with you at all. Not disagree. Listen, Mr. Diaby. The only downside of him signing for us would have been that game time. Player of his stature at his stage in his career who needs more game time. So, but I don't hear that he turned us down. I think we just didn't go in for him.
He's only 24, isn't he? 23, 24.
There are, if you look at our squad balance, where we're weakest in depth, definitely on the right wing. So why is it that a player like Moussa Diaby doesn't appeal at that price point? He's not that expensive. Why are we looking to shore up a defensive midfield now that Partey, Jorginho, El Neni, and Declan Rice can all play there? Why are we linked with players like Lavia? Why are we being linked with? So Kudus is a player that we're linked with from Ajax, and I think this would have happened by now. But maybe
everyone's raving about him. Everyone's raving about Kudus. I've only known through what I've seen. Like I've had to look into. I've not watched the Dutch league. I
haven't seen Ajax either. And
I don't know. Everyone pretends that they've got they know all these players all the time, but you can't know every player.
I think the issue with Kudus is that neither of us know him, but I'm just saying it doesn't feel like a strong push by us. So when I said, why are we not going out and buying a right winger? The obvious answer is that, well, who wants to come and be behind Bukayo Saka? That's what people will say to you. People said that about Kieran Tierney, by the way. This is in January 2020, December. They were saying, we're never going to find a left back who comes in as cover for Kieran Tierney. And then what happens is, of course, like football is competitive. You bring someone in that challenges that position and does better. It happens all the time. Bukayo Saka, though, I think is the one area where it probably isn't going to happen. I think he's the best in the world, right? So unless you're going out and signing Mo Salah, it really isn't going to happen. So a young guy, you would think, would relish the opportunity to come in. And that young guy, I think, could be Cozy Dubry. I don't think that anyone's sure yet. Look, there's a player I have watched a lot of is Cozy Dubry, and he's really telling that on the pre-season tour they took they didn't take Ruel Walters, they didn't take Skelly, they didn't take Enweri, but they did take Cozy Dubry. Cozy Dubry did make 5 appearances on the bench last season. I think there's a really sneaky feeling around Cozy Dubry that he could be as good as Saka. But for me, he doesn't play like Saka. And where I'm really going to stick my neck out here, and maybe this will explain why I'm not a coach. Has someone thought of him up front? Because this boy can score goals, man. Like, he's got some Henry-esque qualities.
Is he right-footed or left-footed?
He's right-footed.
So he's not going to play like Saka. He's not going to be He's not going to be an inside.
Am I getting that wrong? I'll have to double check. Let me think.
Saka's left-footed, isn't he? He's an inside. He cuts in on his left foot.
Yeah, Saka's a left-footed. Yeah, hang on.
Yeah. They call it an inside forward, don't they? Now, like if you cut in from the right or the left on your other foot, you're an inside forward.
Yeah.
Not.
I think. I've seen him play left and right, so I'm guessing he's probably 2-footed. But I'm just going to check. I should have done this on my phone. 1 second.
So it'd be good to know that because I've seen him. I remember him being on the bench a few times.
But he's definitely he plays off the right, so he's. I would guess that. I mean, not every right wing. The way
depends if he's a winger or an inside forward. Because they might want to swap it around a bit.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that he has that potential to act as cover off the bench. And so, you get to play Saka in every single game. The problem comes then for us. This is the obvious problem.
Burnt out.
Who does? Bukayo Saka. Yeah, but even if Arteta said that every player should be able to play 38 games, So, all right, I agree with you. I wouldn't necessarily. I like what Man City do. They give them like nearly 3,000 minutes each, and they all rotate. Keeps the squad on their toes, gives everyone a chance.
Of course, someone gets complacent.
Yeah, but if he does want to play him 38 games in the league and every game in the Champions League, injury risk comes in. And at that point, the biggest problem we've got is if we had a considerable injury, heaven forbid, but if we had a considerable injury on the right wing, we are not there, unless Kai Havertz takes that position and plays really well, or you move it around and Jesus goes to the right wing.
Yeah.
But then Jesus and Nketiah, does that thrill you as a lineup?
No, it doesn't thrill me. I'd rather have Balogun up there. Get rid of Nketiah. That's how we're going to go. I'd rather get rid of Nketiah. And I mean, West Ham could do this. Like I've heard Inter Milan are going for Skamaka because
I know. Yeah, I heard that today. Yeah.
Yeah, because of Balogun. We're not so.
I just don't buy it. Sorry, I'm not. One of the things I'm not buying really is the whole Inter Milan bidding. I don't think they're coming in for 40 million, or that he's the top of their list. It just seems to me like I don't know. There's some twists and turns in that transfer saga, isn't there? And also, like, could we just, as I've said before, could we just go, look, following, I get you want to leave. We actually think you're worth more to us for one season than you are if we sell you. Yeah, because we're getting 30 million offer, and we'd rather take a punt on you being fucking amazing. And I don't know. He
might bang in 25 goals and think, you know what, I'm going to sign a new deal January. You know what I mean? He might be on his way. He might play. He might have a great season. He might think, you know what, I'm going to renew this contract in January. Bang.
Yeah,
and sign on.
It doesn't take a lot of imagination, does it? I mean, let me paint a scenario. Could this happen? Right? Community Shield. It's a really close game, and Balogun gets thrown off from the bench. Yeah, I can't get used to Community Shield, but it's been like 20 years or something.
I know, I've always called it the Charity Shield. I still call it the Charity Shield.
Yeah, I think so last 20 minutes, and it's a 0-0, and he takes off Jesus and throws on Balogun, and Balogun scores 2.
Oh, yeah.
It'd
be brilliant, wouldn't it?
First game of the season, same thing. Forest, it's all going a bit stagnant, and then let's say someone needs to be replaced, and on comes Balogun and scores 2. At what point do you then just go, do you know what, mate? You're getting minutes here. You're getting some minutes.
Well, you would do straight away. You'd think, you know what? Especially because in them first 5 games, you've got United, and first 8 games, you've got United and Spurs.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't we?
Spurs.
We've got Brighton as well in the first 8.
I haven't spent that much time looking at the fixtures, to be honest with you.
I remember seeing it. I see it ages ago, but I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, we've got Spurs and United in the first." I think you showed the 8 games, first 8 games on the screen. What I can remember in my head, Brighton was there as well, Everton, I think.
Yeah, I remember there's some tricky ones, but you never know pre-season anyway, do you? I'm not worried about fixtures, although you know
what? I've got a feeling. I said it before that game against United in pre-season. I've just got a feeling. I'm not. Look, every season when we go and play one of the big boys, even Spurs, I always think, I always had a niggle, thinking, I don't want. A bit worried. I feel strong this season. I feel confident. I don't know what it is. I just feel different.
Oh well, you do know what it is. We've got a squad of 22 players. You've got 2 first 11s that are really competent, look really good. We've got a manager who's shown nothing but progress. We played a kind of football that delivers 88 goals one season, so that's definite progress. We have some of the world's most exciting players that would walk into other teams. Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, Odegaard. We now added to that Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, who's nothing but prospects. Jurriën Timber is a player everyone's excited to see.
Kai Havertz, to be fair, was everyone was raving about him when Chelsea signed him. I don't know what happened. What they've done was so poor at Chelsea.
I can help you out on this one because I'm doing quite a lot on this. There are 6. There's a really good article on this, which I get rid of this call. Sorry. There's a really good article on this when it talks about there are 6 reasons a transfer might not work. Right. So you have to look at it, and you can kind of see where Kai Havertz didn't work. You can kind of hopefully see where he is going to work for us. But the first reason is that when you buy a player, they might not be as good as you thought they were, right?
Yeah.
So if it turns out that a player is not quite as good as you thought they were, then obviously the signing's not. is not as likely to work, right? Then there's also whether that player is liked by the manager, whether the player fits in with the style. There's 6 criteria. So if you just measure it against that, then you can work out if the transfer is likely to work or not.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you're breaking up a bit on my one.
Can you hear me? I don't know why. I think it should be all right. I can't see any drop in the connection.
Maybe it's my end.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's 6 reasons that a player might not work out. One is not as good as thought. One is doesn't fit the style. One is they've been played out of position. One is the manager doesn't like them. One is fitness and personal issues. And one is that there's a player in the squad who's currently better. So if you look at Kai Havertz when he went to Chelsea, he went and signed for Frank Lampard, right?
Yeah.
So player not as good as thought. It's not even relevant because when Tuchel comes in, did he want Kai Havertz? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But it's starting from a low average there. Then the player doesn't fit the style. I don't think they ever played him in his right position, so he didn't fit the style.
I don't know if he knows he's in the right position.
Well, I think he likes to be a 9. You know,
Okay.
I think he likes to be a false 9. I think he likes to be that kind of what they, everyone's talking about now, Raumdeuter. That he likes the idea of that. But then there's also if the manager doesn't like him, and if you sign for one manager, another manager comes in, then that's a chance. So I think where it goes wrong for Kai Havertz is that, and it goes wrong for a lot of transfers, and this is why more successful teams keep managers for longer, is because most signings at most clubs will be directly or heavily influenced by the manager. When that person goes, then the reason for signing that player has largely gone as well. So where you look at how many managers Kai Havertz had at Chelsea, let's say Graham Potter liked him but wanted him to play in a certain position. Tuchel really liked him but wanted him to play all over the place. And Lampard brought him in to be one thing. He's had lots of different expectations, lots of different managers and lots of different styles. And I think the chance for him to spend a couple of years somewhere where he's worked with and expectations are realised, this could be one for... like no one criticises Man City for buying a player like Calvin Phillips until the end of the first season. And then you go, they did this with Grealish. Give him another season with Calvin Phillips, which I think could happen. And you might start to see a player develop. We've got to hold off on expecting Kai Havertz to be the saviour in the first season. But, I'll start judging him at the start of next season.
Okay. I really don't see the love of him. I really don't see it. I mean, I've even watched back. I've watched back like highlights of him, and when they put these compilations together. Even was it Leverkusen? Was he at Leverkusen? Or was it Dortmund?
Leverkusen. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all, and not for us. I mean, not. I don't see how he fits in there. I don't like this. What is it called? Rudimental. What's that?
Your German is not good.
Space invader.
German word for space is Raum. So it's like room, but Raum. And then the word Deuter is loosely translated as interpreter. So someone who understands.
Space interpreter. Don't every striker try to find space.
I think no, they don't. Not in Pep's teams, you stay in your zone, right? Kai Havertz wouldn't play in a Pep system. Well, it'd have to change quite a lot, because the whole idea of this position is that you give it to somebody with not really. Well, free implies literally anywhere. And the idea of this position is to find space, to go where there will be space, to know in ahead how a football game is playing out so that you can be in the right place at the right time. I tell you, because it always makes me think of that when people say, I don't like the look of him. Would you like the look of him if he scored 25 goals next season? From
100%. I want him to be up front. He's 6'4", mate.
He's
6'4".
Yeah, he's
I
not
want him
going
in the
up.
box.
We're not playing like that. Don't be silly. We're not, it's not Alan Smith. We haven't signed. Who was it? Niall Quinn. Someone put on my channel. We've signed another Niall Quinn. I thought, oh, that'd be a laugh. Yeah. No, I think just because he's tall doesn't mean he's. Look, I think he's skillful. I think he'll arrive in the box. I think he won't. I don't think he'll score 25 goals. But my point when you were saying that about you don't like the look of him, I don't have to like the look of him. I didn't like the look of Gary Lineker. I didn't like, but I loved him in the England shirt. I did. There are players who I think Thomas Muller, who would be the.
The way he plays. I mean, I don't mean how he looks like.
Do you like the way Thomas Muller plays?
Muller's a great player.
Do you like the way he plays?
He's a bit anonymous, isn't he, for a lot of the time? But then he just pops up out of nowhere. Basically, yeah, that's true.
That's the whole point. The whole
thinking
point
about it like that.
Yeah, he's not going to.
He doesn't really link up a lot, does he? He just pops up and scores.
He's not there for that. He will get assists because he will be. He'll find himself in good positions where the scoring chance is not as good as the passing chance. I think we're buying someone who could potentially play in that position. It's not an easy position to play. I don't think Emil Smith-Rowe plays that position well enough. I think there's players who you give them the ball and they create magic, and then there's the very separate type of player that the Johan Cruyff original, where he sees the whole pitch all the time, is what everyone's now talking about. If you watch a player, watch how much they scan the pitch, because Arteta will buy a player that scans the pitch a lot. A lot of our players, the Salibas, Declan Rice, they're known for this. They're known for taking a picture of a pitch, so they know what to do when they get the ball.
They're always looking around. Yeah, they're always looking like everywhere. Yeah, Odegaard. Yeah. I noticed that with him.
He takes some players will take one touch, one look in one direction, and others do the whole sweep. Odegaard's a whole sweep guy, but he seems to know what's behind him as well. So he knows where everybody's supposed to be on the pitch. He knows where everybody is. He gets a feeling. So in his head, he's already planning what he's going to do when he gets the ball. Like Dennis Bergkamp used to talk about. He said, if you have to decide what to do when you get the ball, it's too late. You have to get the ball to do the thing. So when he goes round Pistone, was it? No, I don't think it was. Do you know the time he scored that miraculous goal against Newcastle where he knocks it one way?
Oh, yeah. He flips it over his head, didn't he? Yeah.
No, he goes round him like that. He just
he flips it up in the air over his head and then goes round him.
No,
he's got his back to him.
The ball's coming to him, and he turns one way and kicks the ball the other way. And
the other way, it spins around the player.
It doesn't go up in the air though. I can't remember the defender. But the point I'm making is that when you talk to Bergkamp about it, he knew he was going to do that before the ball came to him. So he's got seconds. I think Kai Havertz, we're hoping he's that kind of player. We're hoping he's the kind of player who can think before he plays. And I'm hopeful, but it's a risk, isn't it? It's let's see.
If he's anything like Bergkamp, I think I'll have one of them all season.
Where is the next Bergkamp coming from? That's the question. Where is the next Bergkamp?
Ever be a player like him? I don't know. I mentioned him and all in the video I done the other day about I've never seen a first touch in my life like it. Never. I don't care. Cruyff, anyone. Bergkamp was the governor.
Yeah.
That one you spoke about just then was proof. And then there was another defender. There was another game where he actually did flick it over a defender's head. I can't remember.
I'm sure he's done that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of his
goals over then volleyed, spun the player and volleyed. He was. I mean,
you could. Heaven is a Bergkamp highlights reel. He is the Bergkamp Wonderland. He is the governor. I know
Cruyff invented the turn. He invented the Cruyff turn.
You said you couldn't decide between Henry and Bergkamp. I can. It's always Bergkamp, and it will always be Bergkamp for me.
Yeah, it's very, very tight. Sometimes I watch. I think, is it Henry? And sometimes
how blessed to have both, though. How blessed to have both. How blessed to have both. And we had them both playing at the same time, and I used to go and watch them, and it is just insane. I don't know where the next Bergkamp is. I think Odegaard is. I think he's more like Kevin De Bruyne, honestly, and I think the game's changing. You're seeing midfield is such an interesting position right now, isn't it?
Well, Bergkamp was more of a. He was a striker, really.
Yeah,
but he played more of a 10, wasn't it? More of a attacking midfield.
Yeah, he was a 10.
The 10. Yeah, it was brilliant.
That's the problem he had at Inter, that they weren't playing him there. I mean, he wanted to be given that kind of ghosting Peter Beardsley type role where You can again, somebody finds himself in the right space. Someone with an eye for a pass.
Sheringham was very good at that.
Yeah, Sheringham's
Teddy
really good. Sheringham and Bergkamp. I mean, obviously Bergkamp's far better, but Sheringham's also just another player who you couldn't tell me you thought it was pretty to watch Teddy Sheringham.
No, but when he played with Alan Shearer for England, I thought he was amazing.
Because he was in the right place at the right time.
Brilliant. And he was another player, didn't need any pace. Just knew where Shearer was or someone. And that Matt Le Tissier is another one.
Oh, Matt Le Tissier. Matt Le Tissier didn't need to know where everyone else was on the pitch because he could score from anywhere. He was
amazing. He was amazing.
He's somehow always think of Matt Le Tissier when the conversation was around Declan Rice staying at West Ham, and whenever you think of a player who's shown total loyalty to a club, because obviously the Harry Kane debate's out there now. Whenever you see someone who's shown this kind of loyalty, you always think of Southampton. Because you always think of Matt Le Tissier at Southampton. But I think you also overlook the fact when you look at it like that some people just, like Harry Kane, everyone's going, he's going to go Germany. I don't think he wants to. I think he likes his sandwiches cut a certain way. I think he likes his, he knows where everything is. He's comfortable and he wants to be comfortable. And, going to Germany, he's going to be uncomfortable, I think. But so for him, it might not be loyalty that keeps him. And I think that Matt Le Tissier just didn't fancy a big club in London you just like playing football for Southampton. And
he could have played anywhere. He could have gone. He could have gone to any club in the world, Matt Le Tissier.
Yeah,
any club in the world. They all wanted him. All the Barcelona.
It was Chelsea that he was supposed to be going to. Chelsea were the big team that came in for him, and I don't know enough about what Chelsea weren't necessarily the club they are now. But I think Matt Le Tissier is just one of those rare, makes football fun, just totally makes football fun.
Just watching him, I used to watch Southampton for just the purpose of watching him play.
Yeah,
because what's he going to do this week?
I remember there's a free kick against Villa. Like he did this one where the ball came in from across and he juggled it before looping it beautifully into the top left-hand corner. It was like this is football on a totally different level, especially in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? Now you see much more technical. I think footballers, because they're trained from the age of 8 and they're trained at the highest levels. You've got to remember at the times when Le Tissier was playing, there were no nutritionists. There was just
he always had a belly on him, didn't he?
Yeah,
he always had a little. He was always carrying a few extra pounds. Le Tissier.
I think he's I would say to anybody, I bet he never buys a drink in Southampton. That fella, does he? I mean,
of course not.
Just do that then. Just find a club. Yeah. That's what I think when people leave. When Alexis Sanchez, or when some of the real Judases leave their clubs, and you go, you're an idiot. You're never going to be as popular anywhere else as you are now. At the club that you should have stayed at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. He won't get a drink. He won't get a drink in Holloway Road, will he, Sanchez?
No, not even if he's paying for it. But Van Persie is, I think there's a few that have left. Cesc Fabregas is an interesting one. I don't think Arsenal fans really know how to process Cesc. I'll rate him still. I'd buy him a drink if I ever saw him. I don't care that he went to Barcelona. He went back to his club he started at before he went to Chelsea. He's not a legend though, is he?
He was a captain.
Yeah, but not all captains are legends.
No, well, don't know. Right? Not for us, they are.
Nah, they're not.
Who ain't then? Who ain't? Well, you're saying Cesc Fabregas. Tony Adams a legend. Patrick Vieira's a legend.
Granit Xhaka. Is Granit Xhaka a legend?
No, because he threw the armband down, so I don't even look at him as being as a captain.
Yeah,
I would have sacked him that day anyway.
I know you would, but I mean, we didn't. Was he a legend? No. So not all Arsenal captains are legends.
Yeah, true. Right, yeah, good point.
I mean, you'd like to think they would be. We're a decent sized club, and if you make it to captain, I don't think Aubameyang's a legend.
Oh, yeah, well, it didn't turn out too well, did it, to be fair?
He's not a legend, is he? He's a good player. Charlie Nicholas isn't a legend. We've had big name players that aren't legends before.
Well, I always talk about it. Always, hear Charlie Nicholas's name. He ain't been forgotten.
You hear it because we talk about how he never made it. That's why you hear it. You hear it because he should have made it. He turned down a host of big clubs to come to Arsenal, and it just didn't work. Like then when George Graham came in, he had that League Cup final in '87 where he scored, where he looks like he scored both the goals. And then George Graham goes, I don't fancy this, and gets rid of him. We get Alan Smith, who is a legend. Yeah. So we had to throw out that if Charlie Nicholas was Brian Marwood, good player, not legend. Maybe.
Yeah,
legend,
I like Brian Marwood.
Might be being harsh with Marwood, but I think there are great players. It's difficult, Arsenal, because we have this long history of captains. But I'm pretty sure Gilles Grimaldi's captained Arsenal at times. I might have just made that up, but we've had,
it might have been advice, but when he a scout for us, when he looking, didn't he?
Yeah, he's involved in. I can't remember what it was now. There was a news story fairly recently. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to talk about. What did you think about? I've heard this. João Felix, possible. There's possible going to Aston Villa, us. And I think who was the other team?
Newcastle.
That's it. Newcastle. I've heard them three clubs: Arsenal, Villa, and Newcastle are in for him. Right? Chelsea ain't interested no more.
No. I think it's both ways there. I don't think he's that fussed either.
No, but I've heard that. Would you like a João Felix? We've already got a João Felix-esque sort of with Jesus, though, isn't it? It's exactly the same player, I think. I think Jesus may be slightly better, but they're the same sort of similar stature, similar style. I think we need a different kind of striker. I think we need like a Giroud style striker, a bigger man.
Yeah, it's not
maybe for just to change things up. As you said, if it's going a bit stale, where it's 0-0.
My feeling is that this is coming from his agents and not the clubs. I don't really think that we're in for him. It would come down to money, I guess. It would come down to salary. Don't know where he would get game time. He's a big player, big name player.
But he rejected Newcastle. January, didn't he?
Not really. No, I mean he didn't have a solid offer to reject once Chelsea have come in and offered the silly money, So, and it was a mistake to do it. And I think that Chelsea have made enough bad business decisions. They might get one right soon. I think not going for João Felix again is obvious. Didn't work, and we've got a new manager. I think Chelsea are lacking some of the pull they've had before as well, which is obvious. But I think João Felix to Arsenal, I don't really see it. I really don't think. I think it would happen. It's another one of those ones. I'm not expecting any major transfers to come in now. I think if something goes wrong, maybe. But if we are bringing people in, then we still have midfield that we could improve. And if we're not looking to improve midfield, Kudus makes sense because he can play across the midfield and he can play on the right wing, and he's a decent price. I don't know. Listen, I mean, why are we not going for Ousmane Dembele? That could be a £50 million buyout clause today. You're still on mute.
Oh.
You're right.
Excuse me for that. Just had a little bit of a coughing fit. From Barcelona. I've heard PSG are in for it.
It looks like they're going to get him. They're going to get him. I'm really excited by PSG. I want to know how it goes for them. They're like the soap opera of the summer, aren't they? Paris Saint-Germain. Now they've got the new manager. Is Luis Enrique one of the best 6 managers in the world? I think so. I think he is. I'm sure he is. What am I talking about? Is he at a club that needs a massive change? They've got this Kylian Mbappe issue. He's turned down the silly money in Saudi. Are Real Madrid going to come in and offer stupid, like a ridiculously low offer because they know he's going to go there even if he stays? Will Kylian Mbappe sit out a season and just wait for Real Madrid? Can they find a loan club? Is PSG going to be able to deal with, so?
Oh, sorry. Let me just get a bit of glass of water. Dan, it'll be 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, then I will go on about Kylian Mbappe without you.
All right.
So, PSG. I'm going to carry on regardless. I think that Paris Saint-Germain under Luis Enrique are going to be really successful, more successful than they've been up to now. I think that Neymar will find his way to another club. I think Kylian Mbappe will get sorted, not necessarily ideally for Paris Saint-Germain, but it'll get sorted. And I think Ousmane Dembele would be a great addition if they do move Kylian Mbappe on, not necessarily as a like-for-like replacement. It's going to be interesting to watch Paris Saint-Germain this season. I was literally just talking about why I think Paris Saint-Germain would be good to watch next season, and it got me thinking about the clubs that you know. I'm interested in Napoli next season, how they're going to, you know, if they lose Osimhen or Krevitskaya. I don't know how to say it properly. Krevitskaya.
That was it. We was in for him, weren't we?
Love us to be in for him. Absolutely love it, but it's not going to happen. Come on,
left winger, isn't it?
And the problem is, he's arguably one of the top 5 left wingers in the world. But we've probably, if one of him and Martinelli, you don't need both of them. You can't play him, you know. And he's
Trossard can play there as well. We don't want to upset that apple cart.
No,
we've got Trossard to cover Martinelli, and that's it. Just done.
Yeah.
That's so.
But I'd love to see him come to the Premier League. Newcastle's another team that he's linked with.
Yeah, maybe you'd have a team, but we don't want him. I love Martinelli. I don't want to see us sell Martinelli and buy him. No, I'd rather keep Martinelli there. I think he's done all his improving over the last 3 or 4 years at Arsenal, and now he's an established player on our left, and I want to keep him there now. Be loyal to him. Trossard's there as backup. Trossard can play anywhere across that front three. Kai Havertz can play there as well. Emil Smith-Rowe can play there. Yeah. We've got cover. We've got these players that are, you know, they can play in all different positions. Yeah, don't need anybody else there. The right-hand side, concentrate on that side for Saka. Like you said, we've got that youth player.
Totally do agree.
Yeah, and Kudus, we're looking at him. Yeah. Is he going to be second fiddle to Saka?
Are we really looking at him? We'd have got this. I don't think. Listen, I think this is a great spot to be in because we don't need. I was looking at the 25-man squad. I've got, you know, I would have no doubts about any of them. Maybe Eddie and Nketiah. You know, but are we going to make a last minute? No. Are we going to go and spend the kind of money you'd need to replace a number 9 this season? No, we're not. You know, if it becomes necessary next season to look at it, I think we look at it. But like I've said a few times, I'd keep Balogun and just say, well, this is us. Instead of us going out and spending 40 million, 50 million on a striker, we're keeping you. And if it doesn't work, then all right, so what? We've lost. You know, we haven't spent any money on him, have we? Let's risk it. If he scores 9 or 10 goals in the first half of the season, and we've tied him up to a long-term contract, could be worth the same money as Rasmus Højlund. Should be worth the same money as Rasmus Højlund. He probably is worth the same money as Rasmus Højlund, but Højlund was a long-term contract and Balogun wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we were all right. I think the David Raya one, forget that one. I don't think we need to look anywhere else. Unless, like you said, we do sell Eddie and replace Eddie.
Yeah.
I think we're all right as well. I do. Do you think, this is a question I've got for you. Do you think Arteta's under pressure to succeed, like to win the league or win something this season? No, he spent a lot of money. I know there's a lot of other channels saying about the amount of money he spent. I don't care how much money he's spent. No, it's not our money. I'm not really bothered. Other teams do it and win titles. Other teams do it and don't win nothing. PSG. Do you know what I mean? They didn't win nothing. What's his name was there? Pochettino.
Yeah. Well, he won one league.
How long was he there for?
2 years.
So there was a season where they won nothing, yeah?
Yeah, his first season. And it put huge pressure on him.
And he had all them players.
Yeah, I mean, buying the best players in the world doesn't... I mean, if PSG prove anything, it's that buying all the best players in the world doesn't win you the European Champions League. No. But it has got them pretty dominant in the equivalent of Man City in France, definitely. So... And you are expected to win the Ligue 1 if you're a Paris Saint-Germain manager, and it puts huge pressure on the ones that don't.
Yeah.
I Yeah, I don't necessarily want to go and splash a lot of cash. Where I think I would like to see us is just to promote some young players, and I think Arteta will put himself under less pressure this season. But also, look, it's real. I think this is really simple. In life, there are people whose glasses are half empty and those who are half full, and then there's a lot of people that are kind of not sure day by day. Sometimes one, sometimes the other, right? The people who I think would talk about Arteta being under pressure is most people, you and me, are intelligent people. We'll at the end of the season, we'll have a look at it and we'll see how we feel. And if we feel like the team's just totally not performed, they've lost their way, they don't have any direction, we can't see where improvement's coming from, we don't really know what the manager's up to, he's making mistakes, then yeah, Arteta could be under pressure. But I don't see him as a kind of man. I believe he's a very good manager, so I don't think he'll make those kind of mistakes. If it's a mistake, if he only comes second, do I think there'll be pressure on him if he doesn't win the league? No, I don't. I think that the one thing that I'm starting to learn from the more I read about Stan Kroenke is that he does believe in giving people the opportunity and sticking with people. So I think in real terms, at the end of the season, where does he have to finish? If he finishes outside the Champions League places, something's gone seriously wrong, right?
Yeah.
A good manager shouldn't be that inconsistent with a better squad. So if he does better than last season, that could be points total, that could be in any number of different factors, and we still lose. I mean, look at the season where, Liverpool and Man City duked.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you can look at it this way as well. Man City and Liverpool duked it out, and, it was ridiculous points tally they both got. If you finish the season on 98 points and you haven't won the league, you just go, do you know what? What can you do? I think if he improves on last season's points tally, which is no mean feat, by the way, he's not going to replicate the first half of last season this season. It'd be amazing if he does that. But if he's got a good team and they lose an occasional game but bounce back from it like they did last year, I don't think he'll be under any pressure. But it's hard for me because I don't think he'll be under any pressure because I don't think we'll do badly. If the question is, our fan base, are there elements of our fan base? There's a lot of clubs like this, Chelsea like this, where if something's not going right, they try and fix it now. It's the sort of Amazon Prime generational idea that I need this done now. Whereas all of the great things and cathedrals and works of art are built over a long period of time by somebody who knows what they're doing from the start. There are no masterpieces in art that would have been better if someone else had come and finished it off. So when you get rid of a manager, you have to appreciate you're starting again from scratch. You may have all the paints, you may have all the canvas, but you're starting from scratch. And I think Stan Kroenke is a good businessman and he understands that there is a greater risk in starting from scratch than there is in being patient.
Yeah, because all the work that's been done since he took over will just all be swept away, and then it's like a new manager, new ideas, this and that. And I think if we're in a title race, and we're going like quite a way. We're going in the Champions League, and being in the Champions League's progress for a start. Being in the group stage of the Champions League's already progress on its own. So getting out of that group stages is fine for me. I'm not going to be too demanding on him, but I just want to be in a title race. I just want the Premier League.
Do you know what made me laugh as well? Because there was people saying, his European record's terrible. Actually, I suppose it is. I suppose it is actually.
He lost in the final to Chelsea.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about Arteta. Yeah. I'm saying as a manager, people are saying he's terrible in Europe. But I think we'll do quite well in the Champions League. I think we've got a really good squad. I think that, I don't see why we're better than Inter Milan, AC Milan. I mean, if we weren't better than Inter Milan, they wouldn't be desperately trying to sign our second string or third string attacker, would they? Yeah. I think we'll do well, but it's cups, isn't it? So if we get to the second round, that's good enough for the first season, isn't it? And also look, we're all going to be concentrating on the Premier League. It only matters this season if we win the Premier League.
That's all that matters to me. The FA Cup, I love the FA Cup as well, the oldest cup in the world.
Yeah, no, he's got one of them.
The FA Cup and the Premier League, to me, that's the most two important, and then Champions League after that.
In a normal sense, I think as a champion, I think Champions League is a nice to win. It's funny, isn't it? Because for us, it's a much bigger tournament. We've never won it before. So it would be huge. But honestly, I think that as a fan that cares for 38 games, it's a long... I mean, Brian Clough always used to say the hardest thing in football is to win the league. And so you want the trophy for doing the hardest thing. And I think that sounds silly because obviously winning the Champions League is impossibly difficult for Arsenal. But I do think that you'll get your moments, you'll get your seasons, and sometimes it'll click into gear. What's interesting is we were talking about the Cup Winners' Cup final, the 94 final where we beat Parma in Copenhagen 1-0. That wasn't a great season for Arsenal. You know, it really wasn't a good season at all. And when we got to the final, the next season was even worse. I think we were 15th in the league for most of the league. So some bad seasons, but you separate those from really good cup runs. I think if you're looking at it like Inter or AC Milan were looking at the Champions League, it was their last hope. So they played their strongest teams in the Champions League in a week. If we're in, let's say, third, second spot or whatever, and it doesn't look like we can win the league, maybe we do just rotate the best team into the Champions League. So you have to make sure you're there or thereabouts for the end of the season. If we get out of the group stages, it'll be a positive vibe, whatever happens at the Emirates. You know, if we don't, then I think people will still forgive him as long as we focus on the Premier League.
I can't see us having a terrible season. I just see some of the arseholes on YouTube who think they're supposed fans, and
it's easier to drum up an audience.
Demanding impossibilities.
Yeah, but if I do a video, do you reckon to this? Make a video with the thumbnail "Sack Arteta" and just release it every 3 months. At a certain point, you're gonna get notoriety. You're gonna get people like saying things that people find annoying, offensive, or rude, or gets attention. I've accidentally gotten that kind of attention by having the temerity to say that maybe Man City won't win the league next season. You're really triggering people, It's like, but that's what I believe. So I'm not saying it to annoy people. I'm saying it because I actually think that. And if what I think actually annoys people, there's not a great deal I can do about it. The only option I have is to keep my mouth shut or lie. And I feel like I've made the decision not to do either of those things.
Do you think they're going to sign anyone else, Man City? They've been very quiet, haven't they? They've signed 2 players, haven't they? Is it 2 players they've signed?
No, well, Gvardiol hasn't been done yet. So so far it's Kovacic is their one signing. And but they have great transfer business is who you keep as well, right? So if it looks like, and from the pre-season friendly that I did watch actually, that the signing, it looks like Kyle Walker might stay. It looks like Cancelo might stay. It looks like Bernardo Silva might stay. I still don't think Laporte will stay. But then they're keeping hold of the rump of that team. And there's some really good players. Rico Lewis looks really good. So they might come with a new
defender, Rico Lewis.
When I saw him, he's playing them all over the place. I think he's a kind of Saka player. But yeah, played him up front.
Who's the defender they got? The young defender.
No, it is Rico Lewis is the young left back. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Oh,
he doesn't just play there. That's what I'm saying.
Saka played left back when he first come into our team.
Yeah, because you play anywhere if you're good enough.
He was playing behind Martinelli.
Yeah,
he was playing behind Martinelli. He was left back, and Martinelli was left wing. Remember?
I don't remember each game. I remember he came in as a left back, and I think Willian was playing quite a lot then, wasn't he?
I remember the game when he played behind, and they was doing really well. He was playing behind when Arteta first came to the club. I think it was in that December, because I think Unai Emery brought him through as a left back.
Yeah,
Unai Emery was the one that.
I think there's a correlation to like Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's just left the club, and there was this feeling. I don't know how true it is, but that he didn't want to play right back.
No, I've heard that. Made a big midfield.
And he wanted to play midfield, but then you look at someone like Saka and I don't want to play at left back, but if that's where the position is, I'll play there. I'll play in goal if you want me to, and I think that's an attitude difference that makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, I think that Rico Lewis looks good, but he's not just as a left back. And then look, also, do Man City play left back? So you have to look at that as well. But I think if they keep hold of Bernardo Silva, so my question will be, if a player wants to leave and you talk him into staying, and then the next season he wants to leave and you talk him into staying by saying, look, we'll definitely let you leave if you do one more season. And then the season that follows, you say, I'm not going to sell you. Is he going to be as motivated? Is his morale going to be as good? Is he going to be in the mood that he was in? Is Bernardo Silva, here's another controversial thing, is he in decline? His stats, is he getting better or is he getting worse? Because I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. So I think that losing Silva would have been a real problem to Man City because they haven't really gone out and made any effort to get cover in that right wing. And there's talk about Palmer going off on loan. So I'm not really convinced about Man City. But if they hold on to Silva and Cancelo, Kyle Walker, then you've got to see it's a good transfer window for them almost. They don't really need to go out and buy big players, do they?
Well, who's left there then? Mahrez and Gundogan.
Mahrez and Gundogan,
is that all that's left? Well, it ain't
No,
so
but-
bad then. I'm not. I was thinking that everyone there was deserting a sinking ship because they're still in a bit of trouble, aren't they? We don't know what's happening with these charges against them.
Yeah, you do know. You know nothing's going to happen with the charges. Because if anything happens, it will happen over a course of 2 or 3 years, and then who cares? Pep will left by then. No, I think it's not so much about the charges. I think that every player is a year older, and arguably no one's as hungry as they were. So you need to freshen up that team. Yeah. But I will repeat myself. Man United, when they won the treble, they didn't lose any players. No one wanted to leave. Why has Gundogan decided this is Gundogan going and Mahrez going?
And their captain as well.
Well, he's their captain, but also importantly, he scored both goals in the cup final. He scored both goals, and he scored game-winning goals last season. He's got points behind him, and trophies. So they've lost that, and they haven't replenished it. They may have people in the team they think can come and do that. McAtee is a player that looks quite good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but they're not under the same pressure. But what is interesting to me is, all right, let me hypothetical situation. You're the board at City, right? You're Sheikh Mansour. Pep Guardiola says, look, I'm happy to stay till 2025, but I'm definitely not staying beyond that, and I'm not signing a contract extension. Now, if Man City get off to a less than perfect start next season, let's say come the Christmas Day, number 1 spot goes to Arsenal and second is Man United. And Man City, everyone knows they can get going and go on a good run, but they're 5 or 6 points behind, right? In that January transfer window, Pep says we need a couple of players. Are you going to let him have a lot of money, knowing that he might only have a year and a half with those players? Or are you going to start to hold back?
And are you going to start to hold back? You're going to say, unless you sign a new contract, Pep, you're not having no one.
Right. So that puts Man City. So that puts Man City in a tricky position for me because they don't have a lot of players. They have a lot of good players, but they don't have a lot of players. So I think they're starting to look a little light in certain positions. And Gundogan is a player who came good in very big matches. So he's he's a proven clutch game player, and they don't have anyone to replace him. Now, my argument is if Gundogan wasn't that important to City, why'd they play him every match? He must have been important. So they've lost someone really important and they've replaced him with Kovacic. And if I said to you, do you think he'll play every match? You'd be mad if you said yes. So they are not as good without Gundogan as they were with him. That's one of my only points. Riyad Mahrez might be a bench player. He's an impact bench player. I think he's slightly more than a bench player, though, actually, because if you look at the minutes that he played last season, if you look at what the average minutes in an Arsenal team are, for the first 11, it's higher. But Mahrez weighed in with minutes, but also important goals, and he's the one who got them to the FA Cup final. So there's like morale and people who get on with each other in the team. He's played 190 times for City or thereabouts. These are players that I think they are missing them. But if they lose Silva as well, they've got to go out into that marketplace and sign someone. And they're not really that busy. They signed Kovacic, reasonable money. And now they've been arguing the toss over Guardiola for ages, even though everybody wants him. It's almost a done deal. He definitely wants to go to City. It seems like it's taking longer than usual for them to get anything out of the transfer window. And I think it's conceivable that they might get to December 25th and realise they need to go and splash some serious dosh, be held to ransom in a January transfer window, but not want to pay that kind of money because Pep Guardiola is leaving. So then They could have a bad season next season. They could finish third. They could not win anything. And then Pep's got one last season. Up for it? Are you going to give him 100 million quid to spend on a single player if he's got 1 year left on his contract? No. So I think. So I hope with this recorded, I hope it happens because I'll look like a genius, won't I? I really hope that that's what turns out to.
And it wouldn't surprise me. I'll tell you now. Let me tell you something. It wouldn't surprise me if they're doing poor that they actually sack Pep January.
Yeah, of course. Well, no, they're not going to sack him in January. They're not sacking him in January.
What I'm saying is
no one's sacking Pep in January.
Why not? If they,
what do you mean? Why not? He's the greatest manager ever lived. Because if
but I'm saying like the reason why I'm saying it is because if they're going to spend money, if they need to spend money in January, they're going to want to give it to a manager who's going to commit to longer than another year. Surely.
If Pep,
they might have to say, you know what?
No, look, I don't.
Well, they won't spend the money in January then.
No, because Pep will walk. They never sack Pep. You know, they would never sack Pep. I think they'll do everything they can to, and don't rule out the fact that Abu Dhabi have the money to make Pep Guardiola sign a 2-year contract extension. Maybe I don't think it's out of the question.
Well, if he does that, then he's going to get the money to spend in January, wouldn't he? But
yes.
What I'm saying is, like you said, that you wouldn't give him the money in January because he's only.
No, but you said no. But I'm only addressing your point was if he won't, if you're not doing well, you don't sack him because he won't sign a new contract. You give him an offer where he does sign a new contract. That's the first. Your choice is as then Sheikh Mansour. It's December 20 or December 31st, and you're about to go into a transfer market. You realise now that you're a couple of positions short. That is the manager's fault. How comes we didn't know this sooner? We're not doing as well as we need. And you go and talk to Pep and you say, what do you need? And he goes, I've got everything I need. Then you don't go, right, I'm sacking you. Or if he turns around and goes...
If they're like in like 5th, 6th place.
And then I think...
We've got to improve. What do you need? And he says, no, I've got everything.
But then ask yourself a question. If your team was 5th in the league and you needed someone from anywhere in the world to make the biggest difference to that position, wouldn't you choose Pep Guardiola?
Yeah.
Or would you go for Sam Allardyce?
No, not if you're City. You don't go for Sam Allardyce. Yeah.
I don't think you go Sam Allardyce if you're Bolton anymore. Do you know what I mean? I think it's Sam Allardyce's race is run now. I think coming out and saying that all this stuff about I know more about football than Pep Guardiola goes, yeah, but I'm not trying to. It's not a general knowledge quiz, mate. We're trying to win games here. Do you know as much about winning games? No, right, fuck off then.
That's it then. Yeah. He went to Leeds. He didn't do it. Did he even win a game at Leeds?
No, not a point. No, I think he got a draw, actually. No, I think he did get a draw. But no, yeah. Didn't win it. Yeah. He's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know.
Yeah.
I'm not even, I can't deny that. That's absolutely true. But at the same time, he was never going to save Leeds.
I know it was a bit mad saying that they'd sack Pep Guardiola because I don't think he's ever been sacked, has he? He's always seen his contracts out and left. And he went on a sabbatical for a year, didn't he?
He did 4 years at Barcelona and 3 years at Bayern. He's now done 7 years at Man City. He's had 1 year off in New York. So that's 15 years, right? He's a serial winner. But he's never done more than this time at one club. This is more than half his management career. And he says he's talked about being tired. He's failed to commit to a longer term contract, which would put City, I think, in a much stronger position in the transfer market. I think if Pep Guardiola had said at the start of Declan Rice negotiation, Declan, I'm going to be around for 4 years. I'm going to sign an extension. I think Declan Rice will probably go, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity to work with the best manager in the world. But I think what's happening is that Pep's going out talking to players that he wants, and they're going, why don't you hit me up when we figure out where you're going to? Because if I join a club on a 5-year contract and I know the manager's there for another year and a half.
No, this is my point. So why would they? Why if they need to strengthen in January? This is what I'm saying. If they need to strengthen, or maybe get in these replacement in January, to be an assistant.
The popular opinion, I think, amongst Man City fans, and if you're a Man City fan watching this, please do comment below. The popular opinion is they're happy with their squad. They think they're sorted. That they trust in the process so much ago. It never happens. We lose great players like Dzeko. We lose, Aguero, and Man City find a way. Man City find a way. I think there's a lot of faith in football, and a lot of supporters do just have faith. Without, if I said to you, like, where's our weakest position, you kind of know. But when I looked at Man City's weakest position, it's really fascinating. They're quite, in terms of squad depth, they're quite weak in various places you wouldn't expect them to be. You know, like Oscar Bob as their right winger. You know, if you count Silva as more of an attacking midfielder, I appreciate he can play on the right. But who's their other right winger?
Well, he's gone. Mahrez was, wasn't he? He's gone.
Who's their left back? They've got Cancelo.
Aki can play there.
Rico Lewis can play. I think right back, left back. But that Rodri is a defensive midfielder, unless you count Calvin Phillips. And I think there's weakness. Let's say, just apart from anything, Kevin De Bruyne is now a year older and he's 32. You know,
yeah, he's not going to be around forever. He's probably last season. I reckon that'd be his last season.
Should we go for let's try and be as controversial as we can about Man City, because that's always fun.
Yeah, got it.
Erling Haaland will be found out and he won't score as many goals.
Do you reckon?
I'm not. Don't ask me that. Don't, because I'm really iffy on that. This is one where you were talking about. Do you watch a player? Watching him, I feel like he's a Labrador on coke. Right? He's just like bundling around everywhere. He's like beast mode. I don't enjoy watching him. But where I was really interested is I looked into every goal he scored, only in the Premier League, and he does score against big clubs, but there is a tailing away of his scoring. Maybe he was just tired or whatever. But I do think there's a chance that he's not going to be as good. Like he scored, what was it, 9 penalties, 2, 4, 6, or 6 penalties? Yeah.
Yeah, but look at the hat-tricks he's got. He scored 3 hat-tricks in the first 3 games, was it? Or first 3 home games, he got an hat-trick in every game.
Palace, Forest, and United.
Was that the first 3 home games?
I can't tell you off the top of. I'm just on my notes.
Something like that. Anyway, he got an hat-trick in every.
But he scored against. So he scored against Newcastle.
I hated it when he took his ponytail out when he scored against us.
That was one of the worst moments of the season. That was like, Timothy.
I swear to God, I went to punch his head in.
No, it just made me feel a bit nauseated. It was a little bit like, no thanks.
Yeah, I like them when he's asleep, like to just cut that off. I might take away his power. Like, what's his name?
This is what I'm trying to say to you. Maybe his power is on the wane anyway, because he scores goals and then starts not scoring goals. I mean, he didn't score in any of the finals, did he?
No, that's true.
He didn't. Why didn't he score against Inter Milan? Why didn't he score against Man United? He obviously scored a hat-trick against Man United. That's a silly thing to say. But why, big game player? Is he? How do you play against... How does Arsenal set up to play against Haaland? Let me think.
Well, I'll tell you what I would do, because when he scored both games against us, we didn't have Saliba in the team.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, but I think I gave Holding some stick, and I still hope he leaves. He's not in my 25-man squad.
I don't even know why Holding was Arteta. See, he makes silly mistakes. Arteta still Holding. I think we had Kiwior at the club at the time, didn't we?
Oh, hang on. No, we didn't have. Well, Kiwior was after that. Kiwior. Well, you're talking about the FA Cup game.
Talking about the league game.
Oh, the league game. I don't know. It's after the event, though. I wasn't calling for Kiwior to be honest with you. I think you're always stuck in a rock and a hard place. Do you give someone, a brand new player, a start in games that important, or do you hold them back? Do you go with Holding's experience? At the end of last season, to sum up last season, we were just a little bit short in depth.
Holding's experience, his only experience of being shit.
Oh, listen, I'm not a fan. You've seen Kiwior now a little bit, so you've got a different opinion of him than when you would have had if you hadn't seen him. So,
of course.
I don't know. Listen, I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that Arteta didn't make mistakes last season. I think that the key mistakes he always seems to make are he doesn't trust his bench enough. You know,
Exactly that.
He sticks to a first team, and we didn't at any point last season go to a double pivot, which I think would have been really helpful in that game at City. I think it would have been, if we had Declan Rice and Thomas Partey in that game, I think it's a different outcome. Ifs and buts and pots and pans. I think
we might see that on Sunday in the
fascinating
game.
Fascinating, isn't it? Isn't it fascinating?
Yeah. We've got a game tomorrow against Monaco as well, haven't we?
The Emirates Cup. The highly prestigious
Cup.
Emirates Cup. Yeah, who would ever miss the Emirates Cup? Now, do you know what? On that, I don't know if you've been on AFTV. I do think this is really exciting. So Oli Zinchenko has been organising.
Oh yeah, there's another. He's doing a Ukraine game, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing to raise money for a hospital, which come on, that's already always a good idea, isn't it? Raise awareness. I saw him give a fantastic interview where he talked about how everyone can help because he was out somewhere and he saw a little girl on her way to school with a Ukrainian flag, and it meant so much to him to know that people were supporting in any way they could. But AFTV have made this game. Well, they're doing an event showing this game online, which is immersive and interactive, and could be the future of football. You know,
have you got a link for that?
I have on my phone. It's on AFTV's site, though. You can't miss it. It's free to watch.
If you've got the link on your phone, send it to me, and I'll put it in the comment section right now. Here, if you've got it.
Yeah, well, now you're asking. No, I registered. I'll find it. It's a metaverse view. AFTV.
It's a great cause, that.
It's not just that; it's also a great way to watch football. You know, they're partnering with Epic, the world's leading metaverse. Let me read it to you, or I'll put the link in the comments as well. It's taking a moment, but yeah, all you got to do is sign up with your email address, and you're in.
Okay.
And you get to see the match, and you get to interact and walk around. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, that'd be good for people to look at that. If anyone sees this in time if they see this video, they will, because they will. That's it's on Friday, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Thursday or Friday, maybe Thursday. But I'm just going to go look now. 1 second. But I would still recommend people go to the old. Because it's an event being run by AFTV, so you might as well go and find the link on AFTV. All right, if it's on their channel, they know the channel, the AFTV channel.
Yeah. Came up in an advert when I was watching.
I did see some of it. Because I got the news about David Raya from AFTV, and they're
so desperate to break news stories, though, now, aren't they? It's like I don't know.
Yeah, they've got a Transfer Daily show, isn't they? And it's every single day the same.
The show that keeps you up to date with the transfers. I can't fault the man. Like, he does that every day during the transfer window, and I don't know how he has the stamina to do that, because it's always. You're 9, and what would you be talking about now? David Raya, is Kylian Mbappe coming to? You're just talking about stuff ain't going to happen. You know, there's another month in August, and like who really? We get so into these transfers when there's nothing else to talk about. But who do you really want to see come to the club? Do you want Kudus? You know, who are you logging into every day? You scratch Kvaratskhelia. He could be coming to our. Arsenal.
They said about the Brighton number 2 goalkeeper as well. Robert Sanchez. They were talking about that keeper.
Yeah.
But I think he wants to go to Chelsea.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, we never know from these. No, none of us know, right? So, like, if you've got a reason to break a story, break it. But at the moment, everyone's just ransacking the internet and finding the first. If you put a news story on, now everyone's just talking about it like it's true. Yeah. Even when you look at Fabio, I haven't looked as much because there isn't anyone I really want. But when you look at Fabrizio Romano, even he's just talking about the same stuff over and over again. Where's Mbappe going? No one thinks Mbappe's going anywhere but Real Madrid. Like, you have to stir up. Oh, could he be going to Chelsea? No. Is he going to play in Saudi? No, he wants to go and play at Real Madrid. Yeah, but he might go to Arsenal. He said if he had to go somewhere in the Premier League, yeah, but Real Madrid's not in the Premier League. Yeah, but if he had to go to the Premier League, yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah, but if he had to, he'd go to Arsenal. Yeah, but if he did and he came to Arsenal, we'd win the World Cup. It's just like we talk nonsense. We could talk nonsense all day. There's no one really coming.
Remember?
I know. And I got asked about it as well. And Sean asked me on my live cast. He was like, what do you think about Kimmy? I was like, it's almost like you started this rumor and it's actually taken off. Yeah, he ain't leaving Bayern. I can't,
No. He's never going to leave Bayern, is he?
No, I think the Rafinha's in that bracket. I think there's a lot of players where agents are busy trying to drum up business and no one's doing any business. Man City are not doing any business. They're about to. I think they are going to get Guardiola. He is going to be the most expensive defender they've ever signed. Typical, like, mega brain, though, isn't it? Like, galaxy brain of Pep Guardiola is next level. Because the one place they don't need any cover is centre-back. And the one position they've gone out and bought, well, they've got Kovacic, but they've got a centre-back. Go, great, yay. What? Like, who are you playing on the right wing, Pep? Oh, no, I'm just going to play six centre-backs. I'm going to call it, but it's mega mind shit, isn't it? It's like, I call it the 6-1-3. I've just got one midfielder and it's Calvin Phillips. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never rule it out. Football's changing. Pep's changed football as much as anyone. Football's changing again. In the pre-season, he played Alvarez and I can kind of understand why, but really interesting formation from Man City. He played Alvarez and Haaland together. Didn't really work for him.
No, I think that the formation is like the five strikers, the five forwards, and like where Arsenal play it, didn't they? They have like Jesus and Saka and Martinelli and Odegaard, and there was another player. I can't think who it was now. All up front. It might have been Trossard. All up front at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was all like a five-man attack.
Yeah.
With the ball, and then they're all dropping back when we lose the ball. They're all dropping back, and position it all changes again back to a 4-4.
That's the inverted. That's the inverted fullback. The strength of the inverted fullback, because it creates a 2-3-5, like very much like the very old. Yeah. It makes it very much like the old 2-3-5.
That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, because there's no fullbacks. There's the two little centre halves. I mean, if the ball comes over the top and they beat
there you go.
They push through it.
You got fullback inverted, right? Yeah. Inverted. You got your 2-3-5. You got your Kai Havertz's and your Odegaard coming in here. That's a pointless thing. I'm not showing you. Do you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. I can see it.
Yeah.
When you're, and that's perfect for games where you're getting a lot of the ball and the team's camped out in their own half.
Of course, yeah. And when they're sitting back like they done to us, Forest, they sat back that whole game, the whole freaking game, and then they beat us.
Yeah, now you need to have a way to.
You've got to defeat that.
You've got to beat that. I think it was interesting to me. I'm really, obviously, because I stuck my neck out and said that I don't necessarily make City favourites next season. So now I'm more invested than ever in watching them. Yeah. And he played Foden, Grealish, and Silva in a 3-man, just behind the front two of Alvarez and Haaland. That I really think would scare the crap out of a lot of teams.
Of course it would.
But we're coming down to that whole thing of how much width do you get from, how can you get Foden to stay wide? It didn't really work against Atletico. They didn't really look dangerous. Their goal came, they were already 2-0 down. They just didn't look dangerous.
They're quite compact, Atletico, though, aren't they, themselves? They're a very defensive, compact team. So they'd soak up that sort of pressure all day long, especially with no width. And then they've got an outball in, didn't they, with their fullbacks?
Yeah, so, I mean, it didn't work. And they didn't pick up an injury. I sort of seem to remember them picking up an injury, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been one of the sub players that came on. Yeah, they have lost a player till. But yeah, I think for City, might just not work this season. Might just not be as good. But he is changing things. He's going to change things up. And I think when you start playing around with City's team and the lineup you've got, it's not looking as strong to me. What if Haaland is found out? What if how do you line up against a team that's going to have two players? The Cruyffian way of doing it, which is kind of an influence on Pep Guardiola, is to do man for man. Everybody picks up the advantage to this is that everybody picks up a man, and you know that you're supposed to be on that man, right? So that kind of nullifies Haaland. If you put Saliba on him and said, right, you're on Haaland, Gabriel, you're on Alvarez, and Zinni, you're in front of those two most of the time if we're attacking, and you're doubling up on, you've got your own players to mark, but I think that I think Haaland could be taken out of the game that way. I think if you prepare to,
I think Saliba, I think Saliba's capable.
I think Holding wasn't, but that was the job that they seemed to give Holding to do. So I think that, look, the Community Shield couldn't come at a better time, could it? I want to play Man City right now. I want to play them. I want to beat them. I want to show what we're capable of. I want to show people that we're not one-hit wonders. I want to startle some of the people who think, oh, well, Man City are just the best team around, because teams are fluid. It's a moving structure. You don't build a team and then stand back and watch it forever. You have to keep adjusting it. It's like trying to balance plates. You really don't want to stand still. And I think Man City are showing a dangerous sign that they might be standing still, because yes, they won the Premier League at a canter last season, but that was in part because we did not get results that we should have got.
We capitulated against Liverpool, West Ham,
Southampton,
and then we lost.
But worse, the game against Brighton was worse. And Forest.
Forest. So we was 2-0 up against West Ham and Liverpool, and lost them. We were. 2 of them games.
Listen, there's a really good bit in. I can't remember whose autobiography it is, but he was talking about in 1989, David O'Leary and Tony Adams. It must have been Tony Adams' autobiography, but he was saying that he said to, it was in 89 by Amy Lawrence, and there's a section in there. It's a section in there where Tony Adams is talking about that season. He's only a young player, he's like 20 years old, and he's after a game, he's in the baths with David O'Leary, and David O'Leary says to him, we could do this. It's late on in the season. Tony Adams is like, of course we can do this. And he talks about what it is to be young and not realize you're not playing under any pressure. Tony Adams talks about, I wasn't playing any pressure, but then the pressure started. And then we fell apart badly in 89. We should have had the league wrapped up.
Yeah, they was about 14 points clear at one stage, I think. It was something like that.
Definitely around that. Definitely.
Yeah, it was.
Liverpool was a monster of the time, but the difference was Hillsborough, and the game that we played against them at Liverpool was a cup final, and we managed to win it in ridiculous circumstances. But this team of this year, for me, is a better team than the 89 winning team. And the 89 winning team goes on to success over 4 or 5 years. I think that I imagine that, but I think the Liverpool at that time were indomitable, right? And that's why no one thought we could do it. It begins their decline because, Dalglish doesn't stick around. And obviously he must have gone through hell with Hillsborough, the tragedy at Hillsborough has taken its toll on him. He's talked about it. But Man City could be in the same phase. The decline in Pep Guardiola's desire to be there is only going to increase if he doesn't sign a new contract. At the end of this season, he might just look at it and go, good time to walk away. I mean, I think it's hard for me to know what's going to super motivate him, but I think we could be starting to, because if there's one thing that's true in football is you're always better off coming in after a bad manager than you are after a good manager.
Always going to be compared to that good manager.
Yeah, David Moyes took the ridiculous, the job that no one wanted.
That was a big mistake.
Yeah,
no one wanted to succeed Fergie.
Bruce Rioch succeeded George Graham. You know,
Yeah.
Unai Emery succeeded Arsene Wenger. Like there is a point where you go, no thanks, I'll wait, right? Because you need that one in between you for people to go, oh, I'm not in. You know, it's human behaviour, but
yeah,
I think that whoever comes in after Pep, I hope you get paid a lot because you're not winning a lot. The only one I can think of that's an exception to that is Liverpool, where the Shankly era, but most of the time, top manager leaves, club declines drastically, right?
Yeah. I think Arsenal was already on the verge of declining before Wenger left anyway. We was just top four. That was it for 20 years straight. Top four. He was the one that said it's like a trophy. I think he was there 10 years too long, 8 years too long maybe. Wenger. I think he sort of overstayed his welcome towards the end a little bit. Now he's got a statue. People were starting to forgive him for.
It's really funny. I did on my Facebook page. I did one of those AI mock-ups of the statue. It doesn't look anything like him really, but people thought it was a real statue, and everyone was going, "Oh, it's such a good likeness."
I've actually. Do you know what? I haven't actually seen it yet.
It's all right. It's a statue. I mean, it's questionable. Does anyone deserve a statue? If so, then yes, Arsene Wenger deserves a statue. I mean,
he revolutionised football. Really, to be fair, when he came, he was the first one in this country. With the dietary plans and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I miss all of that creating all that. You remember when Vieira used to have that patch on his
the Vicks paper rub stuff.
Yeah, but it wouldn't tell you what it was. They're pretending it was some magic ingredient. It's like, because everyone else, I remember like when it first started happening, goes, why has he got Vicks vapor rub? Has he got a cold or something? And then you realise, actually, when you do run with it, you do realise it's better,
Yeah, breathing, yeah.
Yeah, of course it is.
Brilliant idea, but Vieira was the first one to do it. I haven't seen any players recently do that either.
I don't know if they just use it a different way or something. I don't know. I mean, but
maybe.
Look, football now is the athletes in football rank with the athletes anywhere in the world. That wasn't the case in the 80s,
Or the 90s even.
No, all in the 90s.
They're more athletic nowadays than they've ever been, didn't they?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And we went through this change under Arsene where he I think he went for skill and technique, and he had a certain player in mind, and he used to sign players without really thinking about the mentality. That would be the criticism I'd have. And we had some people who lack the right mentality. I think Man City don't. They don't have players that lack the right mentality. And I think Arteta is slowly progressing away from a team that he inherited that had no captains. And now, the captains debate when Aubameyang left. Kieran Tierney was seriously considered for that. Obviously, people,
I think Kieran Tierney should have been captain at that stage. I don't think Granit Xhaka should have got it.
No. But now
Tierney, I remember one game, Kieran Tierney, I think we was losing 1-0 or was it 2-0 or I can't remember what game it was. And he scored. And he ran back. Was it West Brom? He ran back.
Was it in the snow?
Going, come on!
Was it the short sleeve? Was it when he short sleeved?
He had short sleeves on no matter what game we played. He tucked in his shirt. He didn't wear no gloves or anything, did he? He had short sleeves on. He didn't give a shit, mate.
He could have a good season. He could have a good season.
Scottish player, eh?
Could have a good season, Tierney. He could have a really good season.
You know what? I think why not go with him? We need him for the overlap on the left side. If we're going to use this Julian Timber to have an inverted right back now.
Well, he's played Timber at left back. That's
Yeah, well,
good. Who knows?
What has Thierry got? What has Tierney got to do to get into the team?
Well, I think he's got to play better in midfield. I think he's got to be able to invert. And if he can't invert, then he needs to be very direct. See, the thing is, it's a game type as well. Like what did Tierney do really well when he came on? Well, I'll tell you what he did really well. He got the ball in the box. He was, he
was running down and crossing it in.
Yeah, right. And if you've got Jesus up there, that's not usually that useful. It's only when Trossard starts hanging around and loitering that you can hit him. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be fascinating. We are looking at different opportunities and different possibilities next season. We do have more. I do think we have more flexibility in tactics than we had. We have a really strong squad.
Versatile players.
Yeah, I mean, look at them. They're all intelligent as well. You've got players like, White is an intelligent player. Saliba, Rice, Saka, Jesus, Odegaard, Martinelli. These aren't just skillful in one area. They're intelligent, mobile. They are, not all of them, but they are obviously versatile. I mean, Martinelli can play up front and on the left. Odegaard could play as an 8 or a 10, possibly even as a false 9. Saka, well, we've already talked about it. He could be a left back if you needed him to. And then, Saliba can play right wing. White can play on the centre back position. They're all this idea of space, this idea of occupying space, winning the ball high up the pitch, man for man, the aggression. I think I'm excited about the Monaco game because I think we'll get a much closer look at the first 11. But then it's really the Community Shield, isn't it? That's the big one.
That's it. Sunday. I can't fucking wait. I'm swearing.
It's not. It's not this Sunday, is it?
It's this Sunday, isn't it?
I thought it was a Sunday
The season starts. No, it's 2 weeks so the season starts, isn't it? Have I got my dates wrong?
No, you are right. I was wrong. What am I thinking? I must have been looking at. Wow, that's cheered me up. Fucking hell.
It's this Sunday, yeah. I'm sorry, I thought it was.
Hello.
And then the season starts. Obviously, Man City are playing on the Friday night, aren't they? The following Friday.
Oh, stop it! I've totally got my weeks wrong. Yeah, so I have to look. But yeah, no, Arsenal take on. Who's this? Man City. Don't know much about them. Provincial team. Lovely to see Manchester has 2 teams. So good for them. Good for them indeed.
Yeah, I can't
Pep,
wait. I'm really excited.
Who do you? All right, so let's do it then. Who's in your first 11? What formation are you playing, and who's in your first 1-1?
Right, all right. So obviously Ramsdale in goal. It'd be a 4-2-3-1. It'd be a 4 because I want Partey.
I'll do it for you. I'll be the 4-2-3-1. So who's your up front for Jesus? Is it?
Well, I'll start from the back because.
All right.
So obviously, Ramsdale will start in goal.
Ramsdale in goal.
I'm going Ben White, right back. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going Saliba and Gabriel centre halves. And I'm having Kieran Tierney left back.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you doing that because you don't think that
I think Zinchenko's still injured, isn't he?
All right. But okay. So Tierney starts for you.
Yeah, because of Zinchenko's injured. Or he's not fit or something. There's something wrong with him.
And you got Gabriel in
Gabriel, Magalhaes and Saliba.
Now ahead of them, you put in Declan Rice
and Thomas Partey.
Oh yeah, you're playing 2 at the back, aren't you?
Two pivots, 2 midfielders. To help the back 4 out, to cope with that lunatic Haaland.
No, I don't know.
And then I'm going Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, and then Jesus up front.
No expense spared here on this collaboration. Here we go. Jesus saves us at the top. This is always going to be backwards, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. It's coming out nice.
No, right.
Turned out nice again. There you go. That's who you're saying, right? So you're saying Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Tierney, Partey and Rice, and ahead of them, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, and Jesus.
Yep. That's how I'll go against them.
Yeah, I would play Zinni if he's fit and Tin if he's not. So that's the same. We're the same at that point. I probably would play. Yeah, you know what? I really like it. I think it's a good shout, Party and Rice, because I think we should have played a double pivot against them. It really depends how they line up. But yeah, I like Party and Rice.
You won't know that. You won't know that until the game.
Saka and Martinelli have got to start, and Odegaard's got to start, and Jesus got to start. So they pick themselves. So the exact formation isn't relevant. But yeah, Kai Havertz off the bench, Emil Smith-Rowe off the bench.
Trossard.
Trossard, man.
But we've got a great bench this season as well.
Oh, how good is Trossard? What has Trossard got to do?
I don't know, but
there's not a lot you can do. There's not a lot you can do.
No, because he's just got to be there to pick up the pieces if he's needed. He's got,
he'll be needed a lot. He'll be needed a lot.
Of course he will. We've got a lot of games. And Smith-Rowe. Oh man, I'm excited. Mate. I'm getting excited. Oh, I've just think we just need someone. We've already got someone to help Saka, in your opinion. So I could get on board with that. I think
Saka. Would I hate it if we went? I wouldn't hate it if we went and signed Ousmane Dembele at the last minute. I would have liked us to get Diaby. I think it would be nice to have world-class cover on the right, but I don't think it's necessary. And I don't think we want to hold our feet to the flames and be forced into buying someone late in the transfer window. If it was important, they'd have got it done. I do hope that we see something of Cozy Dewberry this season.
Reece Nelson can play there.
Reece Nelson. Yeah.
I mean, he could come and play 10 minutes every game.
Yeah, of course he can. Listen, and he's, be good. It's important to see what he's capable of. He's got a season to show us, right?
I'd wrap him up in cotton wool, though, Saka. He's the best right back in the world. I would give him. I wouldn't let him play every 90 minutes of every game. I'd want him to start every game. But
you can't anyway. You can't play Wednesday Champions League because it's not 38 games at that point. It's more like 60.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just I think one of the attractive things about Kai Havertz is that he can play him there, and he did play him there. In the preseason game.
He'd definitely be but he won't get into my first team. It would be that. Well, because I'm playing a 4-2. But if you play a 4-3-3, he wants to play with two number 8s. Arteta apparently Havertz and Odegaard to be the number 8s.
Well, in your formation, that still works anyway. Because if they have to swap it around, if they go to a single pivot and Partey holds back, then Rice can go and play the 8. I quite like that. I'll be honest with you. I think that Partey and Rice is a nice start. I wonder what he's going to do. That's going to be totally. Which one of these managers is going to do something foolish? How is Pep going to start the new season against us?
I don't know.
Is he going to go for 2 strikers?
We've got a good record at Wembley. We're not bad at Wembley, Arsenal, and don't forget it was our own ground for a little while as well.
I know.
When we was in the Champions League.
I went to every one of those games. It was dreadful. Yeah. I don't think we won one. We played Lens. I remember going to see. It was shocking. It was a great experience of. We didn't have anyone good in the group, and yet we still couldn't win.
We've won a lot of FA Cups at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean we've got a great. Listen, arguably the best cup winning team in England. We've won the most FA Cups, and we've got 3 League Cups. Yeah, 2 League Cups. Sorry, 2 League Cups. We've got silverware. Yeah. I like the idea of a Wembley Community Shield that we take it. One of the issues I've got at the moment is I hope all the players realise we don't play kickabout. I don't get this whole. If you put a shirt on, none of this Community Shield is it worth winning or not? None of that, right? If you're putting a shirt on, and you're kicking a football, you better do credit to that shirt because there's so many, so many millions of fans watching that would rather have that shirt than you. You better be millions ahead, And in England, one of the things that's really true that Johan Cruyff talked about in his autobiography was he liked England. The fans, they were diehard fans. They didn't care if you won or lost. They wanted to see you gave 100%. And they don't really care about tactics and all that kind of stuff. They just care about, just get out there and put the shirt on and play with passion and see what happens. Fighting spirit, I want to see that fighting spirit I want to see a team go out there and lick its wounds and go, you lot beat us last season, but it's over.
That's it. We want our revenge. And you know what? Players like Declan Rice and Kieran, Dickie weren't there, but Kieran Tierney, they've got that passion in them.
Do you know what I like about this as well? Kieran Tierney, if City line up like they have done this pre-season, there might not be anyone to rampage down the right-hand side for them. They might not have anyone on the pitch that is steaming forward. They might have Carl Walker, but like Tierney can take that one. It's probably the best time to bring a Tierney in, So yeah, I can't wait to see it. I want a 2-0 victory over Man City, so that all their fans can go, it's just pre-season, it doesn't matter, we're still...
Who's that Man United fan that goes on the football terrace with that Terry Fleurs?
Oh, I don't watch it that much anymore. Man United or Man City?
Man City fan. Bald geezer.
Oh, Big Steve.
Big Steve, that's him.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah.
Everyone I've been home and away. I've travelled all around the world, and I found my baby, and all that. It's just like, listen, he's talking a lot of sense. He doesn't get baited by people who don't win. He's that very casual, like, we're really good, we're the best team in the world, and we're going to win. I ain't got a panic.
He weren't panicking at all when we were top of the league all season.
But what a great position to be in, because you know what I mean. Like, it's one thing to be. I remember a tiny little bit of this level of fatigue under Arsene Wenger up until 2006. We just take stuff for granted. You're like, yeah, we're in the title race. Yeah, everything's never obviously dominated the way that City have. But you get a feeling their fans are like, you know what? If we don't win the league this year, it's not the end of the world. Some of them, anyway. Some of them are like, no, we're definitely going to win. But I think that's their fear. I think Man City fans have known what it was to not have this. So they've come from nothing. And relatively speaking, I know they're an old club and they're, but they've come from nothing. Now they've got this, and they've got this fear of loss going on. I was making a point about this. Remember in '99 when Man United won the treble? You couldn't have wound up their fans by going, you might not win the league next season. They'd have gone, yeah, all right, whatever, mate. They were just celebrating the treble a proper amount, and they were arrogant. They were arrogant fans. One of the things that no one likes about Man United is they're not now, or they are still now, and they've got nothing to be arrogant about. But back then, try and wind up a Man United fan, they'd have been like, it's hard being us. But Man City fans, I post a single video that says, Man City might not win the league, and you get 5,000 people. Yeah. Yes. And you're like,
5,000 people. Is it as many as that?
That's how many viewed it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how many viewed it, or 4.5 or whatever. And like, I got comments up the yin yang, like, you're wrong. I can't be wrong, can I? Because it hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Like, you literally can't make me wrong. You can't go, right, Dan, you said City aren't going to win the league. You're wrong. Well, we'll see, won't we? I'm always just going to say we'll see. I might not be wrong. I'm going to look like a genius if I was right. But everyone walking around going, Man City have turned it into a farmers league. It's over. Man City squad of 25 players they're going to put forward for this Premier League title, to me, is not so much better than Arsenal squad. It just isn't. It might be in mentality. Time will tell. But
we've got a better mentality now. Well, I think we're coping with it a lot better. I think that's thanks to Arteta as well. I think he's and I rate him now. I mean, I've said it to you. I've said it on my channel. Said it a few times. When we first got him, I didn't want him. I really didn't want him, and I was Arteta out. Them first 3 games of that season, not last season before last. We lost them first 3. I was furious. I was screaming. I said, "Get him out, Markham." I was really triggered by it, and I was really, I let my emotions run away with me a little bit. But I've learned that. I think you've helped me get a bit more calmer over the last few weeks, few months or so.
It's it's a war, right? A league is a war, and there are going to be times where it looks like it's going for you, and you just want to wrap your arms around the trophy there and run away with it. But you have to stay in the zone for 38 games, which is why it's so hard to do. Now, Man City have got players all through that spine and all the way through that team that have that mentality. I think that we didn't have anyone with that mentality. When you look at the team that we're both looking at sending out, how many of those players were around before?
Did we have any
Arteta?
winners? We didn't have any like
No,
real.
the only player that was playing regularly before Arteta got here. Yes, Saka had played, Martinelli had played, but Tierney, he's totally transformed that side. Now you're looking at players like Odegaard, Rice, Jesus, Saliba, Ramsdale. Huge spine to that squad. Huge.
Ramsdale as well. See, Ramsdale. This is another thing that I want to just say about him, and how I don't think I'll put David Raya in front of him. Is passion. I know.
Yeah, if it's there, then yeah. But I don't think we know
going like this to the fans. Like he must have been coated off so many times by the away fans. When he had the away fans behind him, he'd banter them. He'd turn around and he'd banter them. He wasn't like he didn't let that phase him, and I loved that about him. And when he made great saves, he might have got a bit cocky. He might have got a bit cocky, to be fair. But still, so what? He made a great save and turned around to the fan and went, yeah. You know what I mean? They're all trying to put him off or whatever.
I love that about him. He's got personality. That's what he's there for, isn't it?
Yeah.
However, I don't think anyone's talking about him losing his. And it's not like David Raya is going to get the number 1 jersey and come in. He'd come in, have a conversation, the same conversation Arteta had with
Mark Goldbridge was saying it. Was saying it. He said it. As he said it, the next day, I think he was on Talk Sport, and he was saying about how David Raya would be a much better keeper than Alan Ramsdale for Arsenal. Well, and next thing you know, for Arsenal, I went for him, and there's people jumping on the bandwagon. That's why I done a video about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real one. This one, I don't think there's any messing about here. I think we just don't want to pay what Brentford are asking for. He has decided. I mean, it's the goalkeeping coach, the Brazilian guy, the Catalan guy, Kinakai. What's his name? Our goalkeeping coach, Kinaki Kane or something. He actually coached him at Brentford, but only for about 3 months. So yeah, I can imagine there's a lot to this one. And if I look at our 22-man squad or 25-man squad, you've got to have 3 keepers in there. Yeah. So I could see us keeping Turner. I think Turner needs to move for Turner, not for us. I think I'm happy with him on the bench.
I think I'd be happy. Sheffield United. Is it Sheffield United?
Well, I heard in Nottingham Forest were really in for him, which I think is a great move.
Somewhere. Yeah, just today. He's linked to Nottingham, Sheffield United, I think. Let me check.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
Let me check. Where is it? Oh, sorry. You're right. Forest. Matt Turner to Forest.
Yeah.
Trusty, the defender.
Oh, this one's
Sheffield United.
Do you know what? This one is he would make my 25-man squad, I think. I've gone for my 25-man squad has Hayne I've got the first 22, so 2 in every position, and then I've done obviously 3 more on top. 1 is El Neni, 1 is Hayne, and 1 is Balogun. But yeah, I really want to see Austin. It's a shame. I think Austin Trusty is off to Sheffield. Is it right? Sheffield Wednesday or something? Or Sheffield United have made a bid for him. Or looking to make a. Yeah, I mean, but he could be good, man. Like, I just don't know. I wouldn't mind having another. I just don't think he'd get in my 25-man squad. That's why I was looking at academy players. Like, we know we've got Will Walters, we've got Cozy Dewberry, Miles Lewis-Skelly. He's a bit younger. And Wanyeri's a bit younger as well. But then coming back from loan, we've got Brooks Norton-Cuffy, who came out and said some stuff about how the loans are killing his career or something. The other one's interesting. No one's talking about. Where's Charlie Patino going? Because there was a big fuss about him in April going, oh, he's leaving. And now it's August and he still hasn't left. Does no one want Charlie Patino?
Blackpool or somewhere, wasn't he?
He was at Blackpool. The fans.
Yeah,
he was there all season. The fans loved him to begin with. Then he committed a stupid red card tackle in the game against Wigan, and then he wasn't exactly popular because they didn't get the points from that, and ended up getting relegated. So I think it's what I said at the time with Charlie Patino is we all want to see him do well, and we all think of him as one of our own, and he's a great player, and he was talked about as the best of his generation and everything. But then when no one offers you any money for him, you do kind of think, is the rose tinted glasses a bit much? Because I mean, like, if he was that good, surely someone would come in for him.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that happen, so he might stick around. I can't see it. But yeah, my first 11 is Ramsdale, White, Zinchenko, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Saka, Havertz, Jesus, Odegaard, Martinelli. The second 11 is Turner, Timber, Tivior, Tierney. Turner, Timber, Tierney, Tomiyasu. And then Kivior, Partey, Nelson, Vieira, grudgingly, Nketiah, Smith Rowe, and Trossard. And as the 3 players to make up the 25, Hayne, El Neni, and Balogun. Yeah. So I'm really happy with that. The only player in that 25 that I would sell in a heartbeat.
Nketiah.
Yeah.
It's got to be in it. I knew he was going to say that.
I know I've got love for him, but I just got no belief in him.
I got one bit of trust or love or belief either. Got nothing in it. I've got no feelings for him either way. I don't think
he comes across so well. No, I don't think he's. I bet it's like Kevin Campbell. You can still love a player. You know, Kevin Campbell was a great.
I love him better now than what I did when he was playing for Arsenal.
Yeah,
he's a good personality, and he loves. He's got a channel, hasn't he? Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've seen him on the squad. What do you call it? Oh, what are they called? Yeah,
he does
the squaddy thing with Sophie, who's brilliant. I don't know he has his own channel. I don't watch his own channel, but I do. I love them together.
I ain't seen that.
Do you know what I was thinking is? Do you know what? It does make you realise. I mean, I feel bad when I can't watch everyone all the time. Yeah. But if you wanted to watch Arsenal content, it's more than 24 hours in a day you're going to need. You know, you got Arsweb and AFT. I mean, it's just non-stop. It's crazy when people take the time out to actually watch one of the videos. I'm always hugely grateful because I think like competing with some amazing content out there.
Yeah, me too. Because I mean, this one's gone on for nearly 2 hours now.
Yeah, I've got to call a stop to it eventually, just so I can. Work on other stuff.
Yes. Actually, you're right there because I'm getting a little bit hungry and there's no lunch or anything yet. So I'm gonna. I
definitely need a top up of blood sugar.
You need a sweet cup of tea. All right, so let's call it a day. Thanks for watching. If you've watched, or if you're watching on the replay, thanks to Dan the Gooner from the Gooner channel at the Gooner channel. Go and check him out. It's a great channel. Up and coming superstar Dan the Gooner. Brilliant content you've got, Dan. I love your channel. My favourite Gooner channel, apart from my own.
Right back at you. We'll do another live this week probably. What about around the Monaco game?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm not. I can't tomorrow because I am going to my girlfriend's. I've got to go. I was supposed to go today, but I haven't gone today. I've got to go tomorrow now.
Well, let me know if you're around. We'll sort something out.
I might be able to do it on my phone. So if you want to do on your channel,
have you ever done one on your phone before though? It heats up so badly.
Oh, does it? No, I have done one on my phone before. I've done one on your channel on my phone before.
Well, let's see. No, I don't remember, to be honest. I wouldn't know. I'll go back and check the archives. But let me know when you're up for it. And it's been a pleasure as ever. And I will keep watching out for your videos.
If not, failing that, we'll do one on your channel on Thursday at the same time if you want. If we
Sounds
can't
good.
do it tomorrow. But I'll let you know during the day tomorrow if I can do it or not, because I don't think I'll be able to watch it at her house. I'm not sure if I'll be able to watch it. I'm not.
What kind of a woman are you spending time with that wouldn't be able to access Arsenal?
No, what am I going to... what is it on? Is it on Arsenal.com again?
I believe so, yeah. I think it's part of the 3-game package I paid for. It better be. All Stars wasn't on it. I had... who have we played? I watched us not play against Man United.
We've played Nuremberg. We've played Barcelona, Man United.
The Barcelona game was
MLS.
Good. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a game that's not on at like early hours of the morning for a bit, wouldn't it? Like,
yes, I think it's on at 6 o'clock. Yeah,
6 o'clock kickoff, perfect timing.
Yeah, if not, we can. I want to try and do a watch along if you fancy that.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe,
yeah, I would.
Maybe for the
The Shield of Community.
Shield game, maybe from the Community
The
Shield
Shield
game,
of
yeah.
Community. The
That'd
Care
be
in the
good.
Community Shield.
All right, so yeah, why don't we try? Why don't we ask Sean and know if he wants to?
Yeah, see if he's around. See if his
We can
missus
do
will let
that
him.
on your channel. Maybe we do some watch-alongs on each other's channels during the next season.
Do you know, I want to try it? I might do one on the Facebook group because
you can stream to Facebook on.
You can. It's either or for the account I've got. So, but yeah, we will no doubt link up, and the Community Shield sounds like an excellent idea.
Okay. All right then. So, all right. I'll speak to you soon. I'll speak to you and I'll let you know about tomorrow. I'll WhatsApp you.
Au revoir, à
See you
bientôt.
later, guys. Thank you very much, and God bless. What do you say, Dan?
Well, I have been known to say lots of love, but most of the time it's be lucky.
Blinded.